Not gonna lie, I was super skeptical about this one based on the Alice in Wonderland theme alone because Alice in Wonderland, not one of my favorite stories, but I was very, very wrong. Hello everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to the Wolfpack. I am seriously so excited to talk to you about Wonderland's War because if you haven't seen the past couple of reviews on this channel, you know that there have been a couple misses in the past couple of games that I've been playing, and it's hard. It's hard because it saps my energy a little bit, so I kind of need a little leeway before I find another great game to just bring me and boost my morale back up. And well, you saw the title of today's video. And spoiler alert, this is an amazing game. Revitalized people, that's what I am. I am revitalized because this is such a good game. So let me tell you a quick little rundown about how it works and how it plays, and then we'll go straight into my thoughts as always. Wonderland's War is one of the most unique games that I've ever played, and here is why. You are in a different version of Wonderland, a warring version of Wonderland, and your goal is to become the ultimate ruler by waging war. Now to do so, you first move around this tea party and you can choose to move any number of spaces you want. There's no die for you to roll in order to figure out how many spaces you move. You simply pick where to move your character onto this table and take that card. Now the drawback here is that the faster that you move around, then the more mad you become. The tea party is all about preparing for war, and you'll place supporters in all these different areas around Wonderland, while also gaining ally chips in order to build the most optimal bag draws. Now once everyone has gathered 4 cards, everyone's gonna also take these madness chips. Ooh, let me show you this deluxeified chip tray. They're like poker chips pretty much. And in this chip tray, you have one of these chips called madness chips. These are bad. You don't want these because these will make you lose supporters, and there are single loss madness chips. There are also double loss madness chips, which are even double as worse. Now from there, you're gonna keep going around and around the table until everyone has 4 cards. And then comes the most juiciest part of this entire game, combat. You first figure out what your strength is from your leaders, from any allies that you have, and castles. This is going to give you your raw strength. And then everyone's gonna draw from their unique bag and reveal chips that you've been building up during the tea party. There are a ton of different effects, and they all change depending on one out of the 4 sets of cards that you decide to use. Like for instance, the flamingo here will only give you 1 strength, but it's gonna double the strength of your next chip. This is pretty wild because if your next chip was a strong version of the red rook, your strength grows from 6 to 12. And for number scaling perspective, that's almost a guarantee win traveling this far in just 1 turn of the game. Now say you're not fighting and you're watching this war unfold. As a neutral person who's not fighting, you can also wage and bet to see who wins and who loses. If you lose that bet, you're gonna gain madness, but if you win that bet, you also gain extra allies or people that can help you out and increase the better effects of your chip draws from your next pool. But for everyone fighting, you can actually bluff. You can stop your battle when you land here, which allows you to forge and pretty much upgrade your abilities. And lastly, if you keep going and you win the battle, you also gain the victory points listed for the current round in that region. The winning player also gets to build a castle there, making you stronger for the next round. Second place also will get half of the victory points for this round as well. And that is a basic rundown of how this game works. You just continue going around and around the tea party for 3 rounds total, and then you go back and wage war until whoever has the most victory points will be declared the ultimate ruler of Wonderland. So one more thing before I get into my thoughts, and that is I want to tell you about each individual faction. First up, the Red Queen. She's all about building up your army. She strengthens regions for war, gains units as she passes you around the tea party, and she even takes away one of her supporters when she lands in your region. Number 2, we have the Cheshire Cat. This is the most unpredictable faction. The cat randomly gains strength the more mad it gets. It substitutes your enemy supporters for yours, and it even promotes battle by gaining strength if you are behind in the battle track. Number 3, we then have the infamous Jabberwock. This master poisoner gives your opponents these unique poison chips that saps their supporters. The Jabberwock also rewards you for allying with creatures, and the more madness you gain, then the more powerful you become. Number 4, we have the Mad Hatter himself. With everyone else focusing on battle, the Mad Hatter is all about, fittingly, the tea party. He can choose to stay back at the table to gain an extra card. He gains strong chips when he gets too mad, and he even can choose to refresh your exhausted chips or give other people madness shards. And lastly, we have Alice herself. Unlike anyone else before her, she actually moves backwards in this tea party, creating a unique path for herself. She's gonna lead the charge in place of her supporters, and she also befriends allies in order to support her in this ongoing war. Okay, it is seriously so refreshing to play a game that has this much thought put into it, so I want to talk about combat first because that's my favorite part about the game, hands down. With combat, it starts off with the foundation, right? So you have the strategy of how combat works, and you build up your strength with your leader and with different supporters that you're gathering throughout the entire time of the tea party. So every time you gain cards, if you see the symbol here, it means you get to place a supporter in a certain region, and then you also get to gain chips. There's just so much thought going into this duality of placing supporters in different regions. Your supporters aren't there to fight for you, but more so be there as your health bar, because these supporters do not give you strength in battle, but they act as your health marker. So once your last supporter is gone, then you will lose that region. The second part of this duality is adding in the chips into your bag. So yes, this game, just like other combat games, will have you calculate out a raw number of strength in order to fight, but then it adds in that randomization not through dice, but through optimizing your bag draws. You go head to head and then boom, reveal that chip, and there is your element of surprise that keeps the game interesting. I thought it was gonna get repetitive real fast, but after 5 plays at the 3-player count so far, we've drawn from the bag like a bajillion times. It hasn't gone stale at all. It's been fun every single time, and trust me, there have been so many highlights. We still talk about these nights. It's quoting those board game nights that make games like this so freaking memorable and so good. And you would think that the game stops there, but then it takes it up 2 more notches because it gets everyone around the table involved as well, because then they can wager on that fight. And that wagering incites conflict. Conflict, in this case, is a great thing because it just gets people talking and it's just so much more interesting. Lastly, aside from just wagering in battle, you can also decide to choose when you want to stop on this battle track. So you can choose to stop when to forge, you can choose to stop as if you're bluffing, so you want other people to waste their chips too. So there's just so much thought going into battle, and I love how everything here is just involved in that decision-making process. But I mean everything here, I mean everything like as you're going on a tea party and you're building up your chips, you're taking different quest cards, which can also have a play into your battle as well. You're getting rid of your madness so you don't draw too many bad shards or too many bad madness chips too. So it's just, hands down, combat is so freaking fun in this game. If you like combat-oriented games, you need to check out this game. Okay, sorry, my passion spewed out a little bit from there. But aside from combat, there are 4 other things I want to talk about for this game. Number 2 is pacing. So I love the pacing of this game because it starts off gradually intensifying, and it just gets more and more amplified every round, because as you're going around the tea party, there are actually different decks for each round. And you start off with a deck for round 1, but then you go into round 2 and round 3, and the resources that you get are stronger and more plentiful, which then adds to an increasing amount of choices and builds up your army even further. I love how the pacing of this game is just magnificently done. It just amplifies every single round. On top of that, on top of the different decks that are changing on the tea table, the stakes increase for each region that a person controls, because not only are the victory points increasing, but the person holding a castle there or having the most supporters there, you don't want them to monopolize that region, because then they're gonna score a ton of points and just keep that for themselves. So you want to contest those regions while also spread out your units into other areas as well, and trying to optimize the fight so you gain the most amount of points with the least amount of losses. Love that. And lastly, in regards to pacing, your abilities also unlock with the more resources that you have and the more forging that you do. Okay, number 3, if you distill down the gameplay, ultimately, you just have this open card draft where you go around the table and pick up 4 cards. Those are going to give you different effects and abilities and whatnot and supporters around the regions. After that, you just go from each region and fight, drawing a chip from a bag. That's pretty much the core mechanic, picking up cards and taking out different chips from the bag. Yes, it's oversimplified, but with that core mechanic in place, it makes teaching the game to new players so much easier, because then they ultimately just focus on 2 decisions. What card should I take in order for me to draw the best chips in the next round? With that in place, then you can add in all those layer of details with all the different decisions I've been talking about throughout the entirety of the game. And that makes it so incredibly accessible for so many players. Bottom line, it's fairly simple, but with a network of interacting actions that keep it so freaking exciting to play. Now, before I get to number 4, you might be wondering, Tim, you've been raving about this game the entire time. There's gotta be something that knocks it down, because with every one of my reviews, if you've seen a past review I've done so far, there's always something that I always nitpick on, something I'm always like harking on. And to be honest, with this game, I tried so far, I've tried, but there's nothing in terms of gameplay that I can find that I would want to change. The one thing I do want to change though are the inserts. So I wish Game Trace did an insert of this because I think it could be more practical with the way it's laid out. So this game takes up a massive amount of table space, which means the setup is going to take a while. And for me, I don't really care about that. If the game is good enough, the setup time doesn't matter to me. But it could easily cut down the setup time if like there was placement for just the bags. Like if every one of these bags just had everything that one player needs in order to play the game, like all the chips, supporters, the little markers for abilities and for battle track, if everything's in this bag and there was room to just place this bag in the insert, that'd be so much better and like a huge time saver, because in the insert there are actually specific parts where you can place your supporters, and with me having my freaking OCD, I'd have to have every single one arranged nice and neat every single time. That takes a ton of time. Like we did that for the first 2 games, and then after that it just became super impractical. So now I just throw everything in the bag and place it on top. So in terms of like physicality, if that's the best word for it, the inserts definitely could have been improved, so it just saves like setup time, especially for a game this massive. Now, last 2 points about this game, and I want to give it a final rating. So number 4, another highlight, and that is the asymmetry. I love the asymmetry of this game because every faction truly feels unique. You have the Jabberwock poisoning people with different chips. You have the Mad Hatter wanting to incentivize you to stay back in the war and collect different resources more around the tea table. You have the warring faction with the Red Queen who's trying to convert supporters and also gain more supporters with each region. Alice literally makes her own path going around the tea table, and then we just have the Cheshire Cat just being extremely chaotic, random, out of this world action. And that's so fun because with each faction that you play as, each character that you choose to play as, it just makes the game feel totally different from the last round. And with that, my final point actually leading up and building off of the past 4 is the replayability. Number 5, great highlight for me, and that is how replayable this game is, because like I mentioned earlier, your cards are changing with each round. So you don't get to play with the same exact round 1 cards as you did with the last time you played this game, and they're also in a different order. And that matters too, because with the characters that you choose to play as, the card that you choose is going to be different every single round. Your quest cards are totally different every single time. The victory points too, they also are changing with each region that you play them in, because these are randomized for each region. Arguably what I think is the most replayable aspect in this game is actually choosing which faction cards that you decide to play with, because for your allies, you can choose one out of 4 sets to play with. For example, I have roses. Here in rose set A, you gain victory points, but then if you play with set B, they extend your fights. In C, they help you complete quests. And in D, forging them gives you extra supporters. That is just one ally that you can change out of the many allies in one out of all the 4 sets that you decide to choose to play with. Combine that with all the different Wonderlandians, the different order of the Tea Party cards. You just have so many ways to approach this game, and you will never play the same game twice. Bottom line, this is why Wonderland's War is currently projected to be my top game of 2022. It's definitely in the running, let me tell you, because hot damn, this game is freaking good. Hot damn. We've had so many laughs already in this one. People love it. I feel like if there's one word to describe this game, it's refreshing, because it's just so unique and hands down a permanent staple in my collection. This is staying right here. It's also really easy to teach too, and like once you get the iconography down, it goes by pretty quick because you ultimately just get 4 cards and then start fighting right away. With that said, in summary, I'm giving this game a 5 out of 5. Combat is so unique and multifactorial, just a fancy way of saying that there are a lot of things to think about when you fight. The pacing becomes more and more intense the more you progress in the game. I seriously love the amount of interesting actions and player decisions that you have to make in Wonderland's War. These asymmetric factions make each play a unique experience. And lastly, with so many different setup combinations, the game is just extremely replayable. Yeah, that is how I feel about this game. So more importantly, I want to know how you feel about this game. Is this a game that you've played already? Let me know down in the comments below how you think about it, or if it's something that you're interested in getting. Let me know what you think as well. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What sounds finicky to you? What doesn't sound finicky to you? Do you like bag drawing, bag building, bag builders at all? As always, I would love to know what you think, and stay tuned, because right after this video, I think you're gonna be extremely interested in the next one that's gonna drop after this, celebrating our 15K milestone. So stick around, and I will see you all in the 15K subscriber special. So weird, I got this random package delivered today. and I have no idea what to do with it. It says Wonderland's War, Deluxe Edition. Huh? Totally brand new. I wonder what I should do with that. Maybe if you subscribe down below, you'll find out. Thank y'all for watching. Love this game. I'm so pumped to freaking film again. See you later.